Hello, everyone. Welcome back. This is session 2 for the day. Hi, Dana. How you doing?
I'm good, Christina. How are you?
I'm
I'm
there.
ready. I'm ready
Oh
to
my
do
God.
this.
I did all of the techniques in session 1 right along with Kathy and Jennifer.
So did I.
And I cannot wait for all of you to see them. They're going to be, I love it. It's going to be great.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's jump right in because as you guys learned, it's a little bit of a sprint, but not too bad. We're okay. We can kind of keep going. So Dana's up first. And what's your technique, Dana?
All right. So
Oh, just
I'm
kidding.
going to be
Sorry, I need to do a little bit of housekeeping.
okay.
Sorry. Jennifer's like, okay. Um, Jennifer's going to be our voice in the sky
Yes.
to alert us.
Hello. Hello.
So-
I'm here. I'm like the bad voice on your shoulder,
Little devil on our shoulder.
Yes.
So Jennifer's going to be watching the chat. So
Mhm.
if you have a question, it will help her find them in the chat really easily. If you type in question all in caps and then type your question. So just so she can see a little better. She's going to, if there's simple ones to answer, she's going to go ahead and just answer you back. Just type back that answer. But if it's something that Dana or I need to answer verbally, she will alert us. She'll just pop in with her cute little voice and let us know.
Yes.
I'm the bad
for today.
angel. And
Our little angel.
Kathy's the good angel on your shoulder. I'm the bad one, I guess.
All right,
All right.
Dana.
Are you guys
Yes, you're
ready?
up. What's
Let's
first?
go ahead and start the first technique. So we're going to be starting off with the layered embossing powder. This is such a fun and easy technique to do. You can do it a million ways over. And today is going to be really, really easy for you to take as an example and start. So I have a little sticky mat here. And this is going to help me to hold my cardstock in place. I just need to take that off. And I'm just going to place that right in the middle of my mat right here. And it's kind of handy to have these, especially if you're going to be using the larger background stamps, the rubber ones. So just make sure to remove your mat as well. And then before I get started, because we are going to be doing some embossing here, I am going to use my anti-static powder tool or talcum powder if you have it, with a little bit of a paintbrush, or if you also have I also have the little, this one here. So you can use this one as well, whatever you need to do just to kind of keep that static off. And then you're going to take your
the cottontail or something like that.
Yes, that one's the cottontail one. Yep.
Yeah.
From the rabbit hole. And then you're going to take your stamp that has a bolder image. This is the one you want to use first. And you're just going to place that right on top of your image here. Now, if your mat slides and you do have a MISTI, you can just take your magnet and just kind of pop it there in the corner so it does not move. And then you're going to start with this one here. Now, when doing this,
don't have a sticky mat. Can you just do it in the corner of your MISTI if you don't have a sticky mat?
Especially if your design will fit across, then you can just tuck it right in the corner.
Perfect.
All right, now we're going to go ahead and use some Versamark because, again, we're going to be doing some heat embossing. So mine looks kind of gross, but it's okay. It's still going to work just the same. And anytime you're doing this technique, you want one stamp that's going to be a little bit bolder, more of a solid image. And then the one that you put over it, you want that one to be more like a font or a script, or maybe like light lines of flower. You just don't want the two to be trying to compete with each other too much. All right, so I can close that down and then just give that some pressure. I have a tendency, anytime I'm doing this type of pressure on a stamp, I do like to use a little pressure tool just to kind of smooth that over. If you don't have that, trust me, you can use your hand. And I also like to tilt. So when I tilt, you can see I have the design there. That's just a really great tip, just in case you're not sure. Or if you just want to be on the safe side, you can just go ahead and restamp it. But I can
someone
already
was saying someone was saying in the chat that I sound a little fuzzy. Do I sound better now? I had a fan on, so I just turned it off.
Oh, yeah, you sound good.
Okay, good.
Okay, I'm going to go ahead and press that down. And then what I want to do is very gingerly. I know I should probably not be doing this with my nails. I should probably do a pick tool or something. But I'm going to pull that off. And then this one here, I'm going to sprinkle with golden embossing powder. Now, if you have silver, you can do that, but you just want two contrasting colors. So I'm going to use some Hero Arts gold embossing powder, but if you have Alt New embossing powder, Simon embossing powder, you can use that as well.
So I was thinking for mine, I might do clear.
Oh, yes, you
On
can
the
do clear
first
as well.
one?
Yep.
Clear. And
Especially
then,
if you're going to be doing it over colored cardstock.
yeah. So I picked like a kind of like a not super light green, maybe like a little bit of a lighter mid-tone green for my cardstock.
Okay. Oh, that's
I
gonna
thought,
be
you know,
pretty.
yeah. In fact, maybe, yeah, I'll just do clear and then do a gold on top. That'll be really pretty.
Ah, gorgeous. All right. So as you can see, I have this here. Now, if you get any fuzzies or anything on it, like I have here, I usually just take a paintbrush and kind of just, you can blow or you can just, I don't want to blow over the embossing powder though, because I will get that everywhere.
That's
then
true.
Let's just get this out of the way. Pour that back in there because I have a tendency to spill that as well.
You know what? It's probably good that I turned off my fan because we're going to be Boston.
Because otherwise it's going to blow everywhere. Now, don't worry if it's not full coverage. It's going to be okay because we're going to be doing another layering stamping on top of this. So I'm just going to hold this here. Start on my gun. And I'm going to smooth it down just a little bit. And then I like to heat from the front and the back. This kind of speeds up the heating. Now this panel will look absolutely gorgeous just like this.
I love the pink and gold. So
I
good.
love pink and gold. And like usually pink to me is like probably a non-holiday color, but I like using color combinations that aren't necessarily what we would traditionally use. I'm just going to make sure I get that really nice and heated. And as you can see, this is the magic about embossing powder. I love watching it melt.
You know, when you do like rainbow color for Christmas, it makes me think of those, like the colored lights on a tree. I don't normally just do white lights on a tree and then make colorful ornaments. But if you have those colorful lights on your tree, it's kind of like rainbow. So I do a lot of rainbow references too. I love it so much.
Okay, almost done with this.
I love that background.
I know, it's such a gorgeous background. It is so beautiful.
What was that one called again?
Say that again.
What was that background called again?
This one is called, this is Simon's Retro Tiles. I love it because it's like very mid-century modern for me. And I love a good mid-century modern. All right.
Love it.
That one is done. So now what you want to do is you want to put this back inside your Misty. Tuck that back in. Again, if you don't have a mat, you can just tuck it into this corner. I am going to use my anti-static one more time. And now this time I'm going to come in with a word one. So this is from Hero Art. And this is so pretty. It's like a Jingle Bells. And we're going to place that right on top. So this is when the double embossing comes in.
For sure. Someone just said in the comments, like that that background stamp you did before, the bold one, you could rotate it and it would look really cool.
Yes,
like,
yes.
That's a good idea.
It is absolutely gorgeous. It is one of my fave. So now this time I'm going to go right back in and I'm going to use my Versamart. And I would tell you that stamp,
your background. Sorry, go ahead.
That stamp looks gorgeous with black and gold. Like you don't even have to use it for Christmas. It's just stunning. All right, so now I have my text one, and I'm going to come over and close my lid on this one. Again, you want a text or something smaller and line work or something, but nothing bold, because you really need to see the two of them on top of each other. And then again, I like to just tilt. This one might be a little bit more difficult for you to see, so I would definitely suggest double stamping on this. just in case. That is good. Then we can go ahead and pull this up. And now we're going to come in. Go ahead.
I was going to say, you're so good about pulling that up off the sticky mat. I was doing a live once and I didn't want to pull it off the sticky mat because I thought my fingers would mess up what I'd stamped. So I was like, whatever, I'm sacrificing the sticky mat to the crafting gods and just threw the powder on it.
Exactly.
I totally ruined the mat.
I would tell you that has happened. That has, because I have forgotten to pull it off. So now we're going to use white embossing powder for this. And this really just gives it a pretty texture on top. Now, even if you have a background stamp that is just script that you really can't see what it says or tell what it says, it's just as pretty because you really just want to have a little bit of the wording or a hint of wording. Again, let me pour that back in here so I don't get it everywhere.
It looks pretty already before you even.
I know, because you can just very lightly see that there is something else going on this. All right, let's get back to our heat tool. Just going to blow it just in case. Put that away. And again, front to back on this. And I'm trying to be careful not to remelt that first layer of embossing powder. But if you do, I would tell you, you're going to be okay.
Love it.
As I do it, you can really start seeing the words start coming out. Let's set that down. Don't burn this pretty little manicure I started with yesterday. Again, if you do it both ways, you just have a tendency for it to melt just a tad bit quicker. Now, like Christina said, if you did just clear, you'll probably see the words a little bit better compared to the contrast of the gold and the white. But either way you do it, as long as your colors, one is lighter than the other, you should be able to see it all.
Love it.
All right.
Can't wait to try this.
And look at that.
Oh, that texture it gives is amazing too.
It ends up to be so pretty. Now, if you wanted to, you can go ahead. If you're going to keep this a solid panel, if you wanted to, you can just grab out some ink. I'm using cotton candy from Hero Arts. And you can just go around your panel.
Oh, it makes that stand out even more.
It makes
Love
the
it.
wording or your script actually stand out a little bit more. And then you can just leave a highlight if you wanted to right in the center.
Oh, I love that.
But it's
Just
so
so you guys
pretty.
all know, I was going to mention some of our techniques might go a little bit long. We've got some embossing for a couple of techniques here at the start. So if we go over a tiny bit past our 2 hour, we apologize. We'll try not to, but I'm just giving you a heads up. We might.
Just in case, just give us a tad bit of grace on this one. All right.
Yeah.
Are you ready, Christina?
Let's do it. Okay. Let
Let's
me
do
switch
it.
my overhead. All right, here we go. So,
All right. I'm going to come right back in with the same ones I have because this is so pretty to me.
all right. So for my first solid stamp, I'm going to use Moroccan background from Simon Says Stamp. And I chose this kind of a mid-tone green. I think this is green apple or green leaf from Simon Says Stamp. I'm not sure which. And I don't have a sticky mat at, and I still have trauma from when I ruined my sticky mat. So I'm just going to go ahead and put it in the corner of my Misty.
You have trauma from the one you had to sacrifice.
Yes.
But it's okay. It's all in
It's
the
all good.
beauty of crafting. So you know what? I'm going to take the recommendation on this one and actually switch this one around to, you know what? But first, let me go ahead and treat that just in case, because it did not clean this stamp. So we're going to make sure. And we're going to rotate this one because I think that's such a great idea to have a little bit of a switcheroo going on.
So are you going to do both stampings with that one stamp?
But I'm going to rotate this one.
Nice.
So we'll have a different look. All right, I don't think I moved that too much that I'm going to have any marks.
All right, I'm just using Versamark. on mine. I did my anti-static powder.
I can't wait to
Really
see this one with the green though. I can't wait.
Wow. Really inking up my stamp because it's really solid. And then
See that one?
I'm gonna grab my little
Oh,
Christmas stamping bag.
That's such a pretty stamp, Christina.
It's such a good background.
It is.
I didn't even check to make sure it wasn't discontinued. So I'm really hoping that Simon still has it. I tend to I try to purge my craft room quite a bit, at least once a year. If things are discontinued, I give them away. But for background stamps that are really good like this, I just hold on to them anyway.
You just got to hold on to them.
Yeah.
Okay.
Can
Yeah,
I
that
see
looks.
that?
Ooh, I like that on the side where you little tilt. Great recommendation. All
All right, I'm going to stamp it twice.
Okay.
And I'll do the Kathy Rakusin method, where it's like you put a little elbow grease into it.
Little CPR, just a little bit.
Just like bump, 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 bump.
All right.
Okay.
Hey, Dana.
Yes.
Dana, you have an angel on your shoulder with a question.
Yes.
Do you have to do the solid stamp first, or can you use the script first?
I would suggest doing a solid because you want your words to be seen on top of the solid. If you do the solid over the words, you might not see the words as well or your script as well.
All right. I'm doing clear embossing powder. I'm using Icicle from Brutus Monroe.
Oh, I'm excited to see this.
Oh no, only the center of the, can you see that? Like the one edge didn't even stamp at all. Probably because it was in the corner, my Misty. It gives
That's
me
okay.
a handle,
I didn't
though.
give mine CPR at the bottom of this one, so. But we're going to be
Yeah,
cutting shit out of them.
There's the corner of my Misty. Awesome.
It's all good because remember we have shapes. I just got to get
True.
this embossing powder
That
out
is very
before
true.
I melt it on myself. All right, let's put that aside.
All right, I'm going to go silent for a minute while I heat emboss.
Just going to clean up these edges just a little bit. All right. I'm going to go ahead and start mine as well. Sorry for the noise, you guys.
I love how this looks with the clear.
Oh, I love that.
Okay. All right. So now I'm going to do my second one.
Coming up behind you on this one.
Make sure my little L that didn't stamp is in the same corner. Because I don't want to have to further reduce the amount that I have to choose from for die cutting. All right. For my second stamp, my words, I am using Simon Says Stamp Tiny Alphabet. So it's not even really Christmas related, or anything, but it'll be nice.
Christina.
Yes.
Question for you, Christina. What is your background stamp called again?
The one that I used is Moroccan Background from Simon.
Thank you.
Okay.
You're welcome.
Then we will come back in with that. Again, it does not, anytime you do something like this, just do what makes you happy. If you like a different background or you like a different text, these to me are like going to be your samples into the world of this kind of technique So you can hold on to it, learn from it, and then create more as you go along. As you learn the technique, you'll get a little bit better. And then you'll always have these to go back to look to say, hey, what did I do? And then you also have the class as well. So I'm going to go back in now. I really like this on a different angle.
All righty.
All right, so let's go ahead and do that. Are we ready? Oh, look at we're right at the same spot here.
And I think I'm going to take your suggestion and stamp the words or the letters a couple of times just to get a really good impression.
Yeah, just in case, because they are a little bit finer and you are going over that embossing powder.
Mm-hmm.
But again, it's just for a hint of a texture. So if it's not perfect, it's okay.
And I'm double checking my cardstock in the corner of my Misty. Make sure it's still there in the right spot.
Yeah, but then we're
all right. And then I think I'm going to do the words in gold. So it'll be gold on top of that clear.
Oh, that would be very pretty. I like the suggestion of using the clear, especially if you already have a color cardstock. This would be even pretty if it was an ink blended cardstock as well. Okay.
Well,
so
we're going to add a
back
little ink blending on at the end, right?
Yes.
All right. I'm going to take care of this stamp before I do
Christina,
anything else. Yes.
I have a question for you, ladies. Somebody said, oh dear, it ran away. Would a distress glaze work for the background? I don't use distress glaze much, so I thought maybe one of you would know.
Yes, it definitely would. It's basically distress glaze is kind of like a slightly colored clear embossing powder. So
Yes.
it's just a translucent color. It's great. All right. I'm using Brutus Monroe Gilded for my second color.
I need to get some of that because that is such a gorgeous, gorgeous gold.
It's a great gold. Some of the golds out there are a little more yellowy.
Yes.
And I like a little bit more of a toned back gold. So, wow, this is going to have a lot of letters. Oh my God. I might not even be able to see my pattern.
All right, I'm going to mute my mic this time so I'm not as loud with this heat gun. So just bear with me. You guys.
It mutes you anyway, Dana. Don't worry
about
it.
Oh, it does? Okay, perfect.
Yep.
All right, we're going to start that again. All right, I'm going to come in from the back. And then you can come back around to the front. It's so pretty.
Okay, mine is very, very letter heavy. But you know what? I think I'm going to do a little ink blending on top with the darker green, and it'll really help everything stand out. So yes. I'm not too concerned.
So again,
all that
you can come in with that ink, especially if you're going to keep this a whole panel. Now, if you're going to cut it down, I would suggest doing your ink blending around your shape. So I'm going to show you. So my shape for class is going to be a diamond. And see, I did the ink blending afterwards so I can have the color going around my shape. If you're going to keep this way, then you can just go ahead and do your ink blending right on here.
Perfect. All right, I'm going to cut out shapes later, but I'm just going to ink blend the edge so I can see what it looks like.
Right.
Because I'm curious. I think it's going to be great. So I'm using Pine from Simon Says Stamp. I'm just going to come around the, oh yeah.
It totally makes it stand out.
Yeah.
I really do think the ink blending really just really steps that up just a little bit more.
For sure. Okay. I love that.
All
Do you have
righty.
any other questions in the chat, Jennifer, while we clean up a little bit before we move on?
No, I've been answering some of them in the chat. So if somebody's asked a
Okay.
question and you guys didn't mention it, just read the chat because I answered there.
Okay,
perfect.
Thank you.
There is one thing from Nikki. She said, I'm unsure if it's my powders, my heat gun, or the lack of technique that is my problem. I've never had good luck with embossing. Just embossing in general, any tips that you can give Nikki about how to get the best result?
Oh gosh.
I would say make sure your ink pad's nice and juicy.
Yeah.
Make sure to tilt so you can see if there is ink everywhere. That's and if you have to double stamp it, triple stamp it, it's okay. Because I always feel like if you don't have success before you put on them, that's when it might become a little bit splotchy or you won't get those results that you need. So I always make sure to double check before I start putting on my embossing powder.
For sure. And I would suggest like take out any factor that could be weird. So like she said, make sure your ink pad's juicy. If you can, get a new jar of embossing powder. Yeah, I would do those two things because I think
let's try to start with those first.
Yeah, and make sure you're using an anti-static powder tool as well. And sometimes you're just not heating it long enough. So like really tip it in the light and make sure you can see when it melts, it'll get a little glossy.
Right.
All right.
2 more questions real quick.
Okay.
Dave, what is your pressure tool called that you press on top of your MISTI?
My husband literally made this for me, so I'll just show you what it is. This is a furniture slider. This is like what you would slide furniture with. And this piece here is what you would put on the top of stairs, like the banister stair holder. Oh, wow. And it's just taped in there.
Oh, wow.
That is it. It's literally homemade. I told my husband I was having a hard time pressing down. So off to good old Lowe's he went, and we just made one.
Awesome.
He's pretty handy.
I put in the comments a link to Etsy. If you search on pressure tool MISTI, a bunch come up, and there's some different options there. Another question is, does Fresh? Yes, Pink Fresh has one.
Gorgeous.
Does embossing powder go bad?
It takes a really long time for
yes.
that, but it can.
It can. I had one like I want to say like 10 or 15 years, and it was like a color I didn't use very often. And when I did, it had gone bad. Yeah. But to me, those are like inexpensive little things that you can have for years.
Mm-hmm.
Yes,
for sure.
Little goes a long way.
Yes, exactly.
All right, let's get going. Our next technique is trapped, emboss, resist. So here's my little panel. In fact, let me zoom in a little for you. Here's the panel I made for the example that'll be in the instructions. And here's another one, but it's not trapped. It's just embossed. But okay, so for this one, I'm going to use a different stamp for it today. I'm going to use this one called Outline Merry Christmas. It should be a really, really good one, though, for it, because it'll show the line work and stuff. So you want something with some outline to it, nothing too solid, although solid would still look great with this. So let's get going here. You're going to need white cardstock. You know what? My camera looks a little dark. Is that a little dark for people? It's looking a little dark. Hold on. Let me adjust it because I don't want it to be all weird. There we go.
There you go.
Yeah, it was just a little dark. Okay. So we're going to go back to stamping a background just like we did before. And I'm just going to go right in the corner of my MISTI. And we're going to get our stamp in our MISTI ready to go. Get it on that door. And then you want to pick like a light colored ink that you've picked out for your color palette. So I'm going to use Carnation from Simon Says Stamp. Nice pink ink. You can see over here in the example, it's the color that gets stamped. So we're first going to stamp it in Carnation, and make sure when you stamp, if you're not using a sticky mat or whatever you're doing, make sure it's really in that corner, because we're going to stamp the Versamark or embossing ink. We're going to stamp it right on top. So we want it to be perfect when it stamps on top. So just ink up your stamp. Ta-da. And then I'm going to double check, make sure that's in that corner, and then stamp down. I'm going to give it a little CPR, a little elbow grease, literal elbow grease. Just make sure I go all the way across. Ta-da! And we have a really thin lined background. Okay, so now we're going to clean off the stamp really, really well, because we don't want to add ink to our embossing ink pad. So take a minute. Like when you think it's clean, clean it some more.
Yeah.
Like, believe me. I have transferred ink to many an embossing pad. So use a baby wipe, use a stamp chamois, whatever you've got to clean that up. Okay. And then I'm going to go in with Versamark. You know, before I even did this, I probably should have used an anti-static powder tool, but you know what? We're just going to go with it. Okay. So adding that Versamark onto my ink pad now. How did I do? I cleaned it off pretty well. Okay.
You did great. Mine does not look like that.
Okay. I'm going to double check, make sure that's in the corner of my Misty. Make sure it doesn't move. And then I'm going to stamp again. Elbow grease again.
Elbow grease.
Yeah. Not often do you see someone's shoulders while they're stamping.
Hey, Christina, what was the name? What was the color ink you started with?
She started with Carnation.
Carnation.
Yeah.
From Simon Says Stamp.
Uh-huh. Okay. I'm going to lift this out, and I'll clean up my Misty later. Yeah, it's fine. Okay, and then I'm going to go in with clear embossing powder. And this is where you're going to get the trapped resist, because the clear embossing powder will trap that pink ink. And then like whatever color you use, that's what will be trapped underneath. And then we're going to blend on top, and wherever we've embossed will resist the new ink color that we're blending on top.
Oh, so smart.
Yep. So this is going to give us a different way to get a different look on our projects. Because it's, you know, without this, how would you ever be able to stamp in a light ink over a dark background unless you were to like do kind of like a pigment ink or something. So, all right. So I've got that clear powder on, and I'll just hit this with my heat tool. Just till you can see that it's glossy.
Oh, that's going to be gorgeous. And I love the way that if we do it this way, we'll be able to use so many colors of our ink in order to trap that color underneath.
I can tell that my Versamark stamping was a little off.
So it's going to give a really pretty halo effect.
Yeah.
Oh, so
and I'm
pretty.
like really tipping it so I can see what's melted and what's not.
Could you still with
Christina, could you also start with a pink cardstock, like a light pink cardstock, stamp with Versamark and clear heat emboss?
Yes, you could, but that might limit you on what colors you could blend on top, because you wouldn't want to go in with a green or something, you know?
Yes,
all right, so I'm
exactly.
going to blend. Let me grab my white mat here just so you can see what the ink's blending in, make sure it's clean. I'm going to come in with, I'm going to do some lipstick red and also some Merlot. So I'm using reds. I just wanted to keep it like a little more monochromatic. So I'm going to come in with lipstick, and then you'll be able to see
so pretty.
It's resisting and showing the color underneath. So I'm just going to get like a couple little corners here, because I'm going to bring in that darker shade like in other areas. So bring in the Merlot. And seriously, Merlot is one of my favorite colors for Christmas. I mean, look.
It's a gorgeous color. It's an absolutely gorgeous color for Christmas. Like they
love
need to
it.
make that in a nail polish color.
Eh,
Right?
And the voice in the sky also needs to say that Merlot tastes really good too.
Whoa, it's fantastic. Jennifer and I, how we know.
I'm going to
It's so
do a
good.
little more. I'm going to do a little more in this corner. And then I'm going to finish off up there with the lipstick. And these are just both the same shade of, they're both red. So I'm just using the same blending tool. But you could definitely use different colors. Like this would also be really pretty with like some of that pink on top too, because it would get a little darker than what's underneath. All right.
Oh, that's so pretty.
So here we are.
So
our-
pretty. Okay.
Love it. All right. So
excited
let's
for
go
this.
into our next one.
Okay. I'm going to go ahead and get mine ready. All right. So I'm using this outline Christmas bulbs because I think it's so pretty. And I had not got a chance to use it yet this year. So that's going to be mine.
Love it.
Back in my little Misty here.
I'm going to zoom out so you can see more of my work surface. When we're cropped in like that, it's hard to see, right?
It is. All right. So
And I'm going to go back to the stamp that I used on my star example. And this is the Christmas words background stamp from Simus's Stamp.
okay. Yeah, this one here is like my favorite stamp to watercolor with. Love it.
Ooh, that would be pretty with watercolor.
Oh, it's so gorgeous. So gorgeous.
Christina, question
Yes.
for you from Blue Room Crafts. Could you stamp with a colored pigment ink instead of colored dye ink and Versamark?
Yes. And then put clear embossing powder on top. Yes. All right.
Okay,
I'm going to do anti-sag powder tool.
And I'm going to do carnation because my cards for this series are lovingly in pink, i.e. the hot pink sweater today.
Love it. All right. I'm going in with carnation once again.
Okay.
Make sure
This is
that's
such a
in front of me.
gorgeous color. It really is.
It's a really good pink. It's like a cool toned pink.
Yes.
Not too cool,
I'm just gonna lightly go over this.
Yeah.
Just don't
Dana,
wanna-
what's the stamp you're using again?
This one is the outline Christmas bulbs.
Perfect.
Ooh, so pretty.
Love.
And I just missed the middle. Just need to stamp a little bit more in the middle. Just for good measure. Make sure I get that pink underneath there.
Oh, I love that. I love it so much. In fact, you know what? I think I'm going to stamp my pink twice too. Just because I want like a really good impression for that pink coming through. Make sure
Yeah.
that's in the corner.
Give a little bit of elbow grease to just that one in the center. There we go. All right. Now, this is the part I sometimes forget to do, and that is to clean my stamp before I go,
Yeah,
before I go into my Versamark.
Uh-huh.
That's my pink Versamark stamp, how I know that. Because it is now pink. All right, I'm going to clean it up pretty well.
Oh my word, I need to turn my fan back on. Let's hurry and finish these embossing techniques. Oh my word. I don't think we're heat embossing on anything else, are we?
No, I think we're good.
Oh my gosh. The sweater. Oh,
I know.
it's a good one. It's from
We
Amazon,
have
but-
the air cranked down so low that my husband decided to go sit outside. That's how low I have it cranked down. It's like,
He's all, I'm freezing. Outside is warmer than inside.
exactly. I'm like, I'm sorry, babe, but I got to stay cool. You should have saw me during the first session. That was not a good look. Okay, I'm
Alright,
just going to stamp this twice too, just to make sure, because these are some thin lines here.
Okay.
Right.
Hitting this one again. Maybe I'll use
I think we're
one
good.
of my Misty press tools. Okay. I'm going to only do that once because I'm, living
I'm-
dangerously. Coming with my clear embossing powder.
Okay, I had my clear on my desk, and here it is.
Did it run away?
It's like, what? Where did it go?
Do you have little craft room elves that steal things? Because they come to
Oh my
mine all the time.
word. Every day. Every day.
Well,
think
can they
there's
be like
something
up
in
on the
here.
shelf and leave me a gift? Can they leave me a gift sometimes?
I really
You're like,
think there's
"Where did-"
something in here that just says, let's mess with Dana today. And then you like freeze. You just totally freeze and you just start staring at your desk like it's supposed to show up.
You're like, it was just here.
It was just here. All right, let's get that out
Okay.
of the way.
Here we
This is
go.
gonna be pretty.
Hey,
All
Tool.
right.
And my tea tool is nice and hot, so this is melting fairly quickly.
Yeah. Oh, that pink looks so pretty. This is going to keep tilting it too because my lines are a little thin. So I just need to keep kind of tilting just to make sure I got that embossing powder. But what a beautiful pink. Okay. I think I'm almost there.
I think I got all of it embossed. I'm like really tipping it in the light and checking over every little area.
Just to make sure. Yeah, I think I'm good. So that's a good tip too. If you see an area that you're not quite sure, when you tip it in the light, it should shine. It should have like a little bit of a sheen to it. Because don't
Sure.
be like me and I used to just go like this and then you'd be like, yep, didn't get it. All right, so I'm going to use the rose color because, like I said, I'm in a pink mood today.
And I'm going to use the same ones I did before, Merlot and Lipstick Red.
I just need to have embossing powder all in my blending brush.
Oh, I love how that looks. It's so satisfying.
So pretty. Oh, this is so pretty. This just makes me giggle. It's so
Ooh, I love that in your pink shades.
and so easy. Oh, love it.
So when I'm going to cut out my shape, you'll see at the end I'm making like a banner that says "'Tis the Season." I'm cutting out my letter right in the center. So I'm making sure I've got some good color variation through the center. So if you know you're going to, cut out kind of a larger shape, kind of think ahead and make sure you've got some good color variation right through that area.
Right. Oh, that's gorgeous. Oh, so pretty. That tone on tone is fabulous.
Oh my gosh. You should add, are you doing purples or just pinks?
I'm just doing pinks. You know what? Purple would look nice on this, though.
It really would. It's
Well,
like a
oh.
dark raspberry purple.
Let me just grab a dark raspberry. Look.
All right.
I
I'm
think
just
it's like a
swapping
dragonfly.
colors.
I think just a little bit darker here. Just might just deepen up some of them. Oh, yes. Good call, Christina.
Yeah, and then it will show off those ornaments more, or the lights, not ornaments.
Oh, so pretty. Just going to add it in a few spots here and there.
Okay, ladies,
Oh, no.
you have totally turned me into a pink Christmas person. I'm loving this. I'm loving it.
Isn't it so pretty? And we always think like pink is summer or spring, but it can so go for your winter cards.
You know what? I forgot a
Beautiful.
really important step, and I'm surprised Jennifer didn't catch it. Grab a paper towel or something, and at the end, there might be some ink on top of your embossing. Rub that off, and everything will get brighter.
Yep. Getting brighter.
Getting all that ink that's off the top.
Oh my word, that's gorgeous.
Look at those. Those are gorgeous.
Love it. Love
Beautiful, beautiful. Love this technique, Christina.
Christina, Rhonda asked, what would happen if you used a contrasting color for the blend? So maybe you do the embossing over a pink ink, but then come in with blue ink blend on top.
blue or green.
Will it
That'd be
work?
pretty. It will,
Yeah.
because it's not like it's like blending with the color where it would create mud. You're just putting it right. It would be like having just the colors right next to each other and not blended. I think it'd look great.
Yeah, I think so too.
Because that's the whole point of the trapped resist. You're trapping the pink underneath and protecting it. And then you can put whatever color you want around it. You could even do like a watercolor wash on top.
Oh, that would
yeah.
be gorgeous.
For sure. All right. So, hello. I'm like, this is a marathon. She's like, I'm just letting you know. It's going to be like real fast, like get moving. I'm like, you're right. It is really fast and you have to get moving. So,
Okay,
Dana, what's your
so
next-
we're gonna do the stencil with stenciling with paste or glaze. So if you guys ever have to prep for a class, I'm just like one of those people. I need to put everything in a bag, one of these little top Ziploc bags, and then I can just pull when I need them. Just because I have to stay organized, or I just don't remember things. So this one, I think this one here was from Hero Arts. I just keep it because it's so easy for me to prep for stuff. All right. So this one is really fun and kind of really close to my heart because I love stenciling. I think it's such a inexpensive tool to have in your craft room, and you can do so much with it. So you can ink blend, you can do the paste that we're doing today. It's just a beautiful, and again, an inexpensive tool to have in your room. So I am using the Hero Arts white paste because we want to tint this paste. If you have reinkers for any of your ink pads, this is perfect to use for them. So, sometimes we might think that we can only have our reinkers just to reink our ink pads, but you can also color paste with it as well. So I'm just going to grab out some of this paste. Now, this is the ticket here. When you're grabbing out your paste, you need to make sure you have enough because you're not going to put anything back in this jar. So just pull out enough that you're going to be able to do your whole stencil with. So I just kind of put it on my glass mat. Let's pull out a little bit more just to be on the safe side, but none of this is actually going to go back in this container because then you're going to contaminate it and it's no longer going to be white. Next, you're going to grab your reinker. And this is great if you want an embossing paste that necessarily you need a color embossing paste. This is a great way to use your reinkers. So I'm just going to put a few drops in. And this is my candy cane reinker from Hero Arts. And now this is like mixing up a good frosting. You're just going to blend that color in. Now, I have also done it where I left it a little bit streaky, and that looks so pretty as well. It's totally up to you. But if you want a strong saturated color, this is literally like icing. You're just going to mix that color in. And when I say icing, it's almost like buttercream icing. Let's give a name to the paste. Let's say it's
with that like knife you're using. It totally looks like frosting.
Yeah. So this is a palette knife from Hero Arts. I absolutely love it, but it just makes me really feel like I'm in my kitchen. So I'm just gonna mix that color down. Now, if you get some pieces in there that are still white, it's okay. We're gonna act like that's like a little bit of butter. And we just need to break down that butter. All right, that looks good enough. Now what I want to do is bring in my stencil very quickly. So I'm going to take my stencil, place it right over this. I'm going to flip this over, and I'm just going to tape it from the back. That's just going to hold this stencil in place for me. And then I can just peel this back off.
As you're demoing this, I'm like, oh yeah, grab my tape. I'm like,
Get your tape.
Everything ready.
All right, we're going to flip that over. And now we're going to go ahead and bring that paste. Now, what I like to do is kind of start from the top, just kind of like smush it on. And then I just like to drag. I feel like if I start at the top instead of in the middle, I can get a pretty good coverage. So as I
So,
get to the middle,
Oh, I was just going to say, Renee had a question if you can, what you can use with that were inkers, or Elizabeth said, can you use an ink pad smushed? I'm going to do the ink pad smushed.
yes.
So you'll see that demoed in a minute.
And I'm just pulling that over. And again, because I started from the top, I'm really hitting all those spots.
Mhm.
Just gonna lightly pull
While
that.
Dana does that, somebody asked, can you use hold on, where'd it go? Can you use Perfect Pearl powders to color this kind of paste? You can, but it would take quite a bit of the
Yes.
powder. So
Mhm.
instead, what I would recommend is Hero Arts has a paste like this, but it's pearl. So it has the shine in it already, and then you can just color it with inks.
Yep, there you go. And
Yeah,
then
and
look,
I'm going to be using a glitter paste too.
so we have this perfectly gorgeous background. And again, you can tint this any color you want.
Love it.
Now, if you get a good clean amount, this does not take a long time to dry. So just keep that in mind. The heavier your paste is, the longer it's going to take to dry. So I'm just going to set this aside, and maybe in about like 15 minutes or so, it should be totally dry. So I'm going to go ahead and set that aside so I don't stick my finger in it. And
Yay.
then biggest thing is to just clean up kind of quickly if you can. Biggest thing with your palette knife, I always immediately just come in and wipe it off. And then I take my stencil and just wrap it in a baby wipe. And then until I can get to my sink.
Oh, that's smart. I always like rush mine to the sink. But
Yep,
you're
I
like,
just
"No, it's gonna be-"
take it down in a baby wipe, lay them on
That's
top. It kind of keeps it a little bit moist. And then
That's
I have
That's smart.
just enough time to run it over to my sink. So I'll set
You know what I
that
just
one-
realized? I just ran out of baby wipes. Better go grab another set.
All right, hold
bag.
on. I'm just going to clean this off real quick.
I'm going to answer a couple questions real quick just
Okay.
to make sure they're addressed. One is, yes, you can use Lunar Paste. That's from Simon Hurley.
Yes, yes.
Beautiful stuff. You can definitely use that, and you can add color to it. Another person asked, can you like sprinkle pigment powder on top of the wet paste? Yes, you can. You could sprinkle
Yes.
in glitter if you wanted to. You can put that on top. That way you use less of it. Someone asked if you can use Cloud Whip from scrapbook.com. You can
Absolutely.
use that. Somebody asked, can you use pearlescent medium? Yes, you can use that. So
Yes.
really anything you got. Tim Holtz has some great variations that are clear and white that you can add color to also. That's all.
All right. Now we're going to go in with another one. Just want to fan off my desk just a little bit.
I can't find another bag of baby wipes, so we're gonna we're just gonna rush it. We're gonna brush it over to my sink. And I also die cut my shape first, just because that's how I roll.
And I'm just going to grab another stencil really quickly because I forgot to pull one out earlier.
I'm gonna get my stencil ready before I mix my paste so that I can go in right away. So let's see here.
Yep. And
Oh, this stencil, I'm using Rustic Snowflake from Simon Says Stamp. I thought it would give a really fun kind of peppermint stripe to it.
And I'm going to do, for my second stencil, I'm just going to grab my Zigzag Trees. That's from Hero Arts. And before I get started, I'm actually going to put my stencil on and get it taped. Now, again, I'm doing a lot of pinks today, but you can totally switch up these colors. I'm going to flip that over.
For my paste, I'm actually using a glitter paste. This is Cosmic Shimmer Sparkle Texture Paste, and this is the color Aurora Sparkle. And then I'm going to color it with a cherry ink pad from Simon Says Stamp. I'm hoping I can get it to a pretty intense red, but we'll see. It might not. It might go a little pink, but that's okay. So I'm just going to put down a ton of ink. And then I can mix in my Cosmic Shimmer Paste.
And I'm going to start again with my Hero Paste. And I'm going to put a little less this time. So just so I have a little bit of a variation, maybe we'll just do 2. I know, Libby, it is. It's one of my favorites too. I'm gonna mix that in. And again, the more ink you use, the darker your color is gonna be. Less, you're gonna have a lighter color. So again, we're just mixing in like it's buttercream. Mine might be drying a little bit fast because, you know, I have my house freezing right now.
Yeah, mine's not quite red. It's more of like a softer pink, but the glitter is really, really pretty. It's going to be a little off screen, but you guys will see it here in a minute.
Okay,
Zoom
I think
in.
that's good. Then again, I like to come to the top. Kind of pull that down.
I have so much left over. I could do like a whole other panel. I overshot. I guess it's better to have too much than too little.
Yes, it's better to have too much than not enough.
That's kind of like when you're preparing food for a gathering.
Absolutely. I'd rather have more than less. Just going to grab my tweezers just to get the rest of that off the tip.
I've got 2 baby wipes left. I'm going to use one on my palette knife. I'm going to use the other to clean up all of the glitter on my, seriously, look how much I have left. Like,
Oh,
there's a
yes, you
ton.
have a lot. All right,
Oh, I
lightly
feel so
scrape
bad
the
getting rid of all
top,
this,
and then we'll go ahead and peel up the stencil. Ooh, it's always so pretty.
Christina, can you again show what the glitter paste is that you used?
Oh, it's Cosmic Shimmer in the color Aurora Sparkle.
That would be gorgeous in greens too, or rainbow. Oh, that'd be pretty in rainbow.
Catherine also said, asked, do you have to use a lighter hand applying the glitter paste so the glitter doesn't get carried to just one side of the opening? Oh, I think she's wondering if it can bleed through. Do you have to be light-handed?
I've never had a problem with bleed through like so much. I mean, it looks like maybe I might have right here, but we'll see. Yeah, a light hand is always a good idea. I'd say yes to that. And I'm
And I
just
would just
using
say an even pressure as well. Just an even pressure, as even as you can get it.
Ooh, that's pretty though.
Ooh,
Look at
Christina,
that.
that's gorgeous.
I love it. All right, I'm going to set this aside to dry. I'm going to run this to my sink. Don't dry on my stencil.
Yeah. And I'm, again, just going to wrap this in a baby wipe. And to be honest, I'm going to actually slide it under my craft room door. Hopefully my husband will see it and throw it into the sink for me.
Dana,
so
what is the name of the stencil you're using?
This one is called the Zigzag Trees, and that's by Hero Art.
You.
So my stencil, all the glitter came off, so that's good. But the red ink that I used stained the stencil. But it just means it's a loved stencil now, right?
Yes, that just shows that, you know, you were crafty.
Yeah. All right, I'm going to remove my little tape here.
Oh, my
Christina,
word.
I bet that red would come off with rubbing
Ultra Clean?
alcohol or Ultra Clean. Like a
Yes,
step cleaner.
or Ultra Clean. Yep. Yeah.
Okay, I love this way too much. Look
Oh,
at that.
that's so pretty.
I've got glitter all over me, but and I'm out of baby wipes.
You're crafty.
I'm struggling over here.
It's okay. It's okay.
You know what though? Look at the time. We caught up.
Oh,
we caught up.
perfect.
Did we catch up, Jennifer? I don't know. I think we caught up.
I think so. Yep.
Okay, perfect.
You've done 3 and that's an hour. Yep.
Okay. Fantastic.
Real quick, a question before you move on while people kind of clean up. My glimmer paste is rock solid. Is there a remedy to soften it again?
Ooh.
It's a tricky one.
I don't know.
I know
That is
I
a
have
very
tried
good
to use, I think it was maybe glycerin to try to do it, but to be honest, I have not found a way to save it.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
Yeah, well, I would say one thing that I have started doing that really helps, and I got this tip from Tim Holtz with his he has some paste. He said to take some Glad press and seal and just put it over the jar and then screw the lid on. And that really, well, okay, I have to take that back. He takes the press and seal, puts it over the jar, and presses the press and seal down to the surface of the paste, whatever's left in the jar. Then he screws on the cap. And it just has a little more, like, it just has a better seal and it cleans up real well. So just a tip for you.
I think that's a good tip. And also, please remember that pastes and gels are a product that is not there. They don't last forever.
Right.
Right.
Mhm.
The use it or lose it is what I often say. Somebody said they've have used hand sanitizer in it to try to help. So, there are some different options out there. You can try some of those things, but really, this is a good opportunity to put that product to use.
Absolutely.
For sure. All right. The next technique is scoreboard embossing. And this is going to be a really fast one. Super easy to do. Let me show you my little stars that I've already done. These are the little stars that I got out of my first time I did this. Look how many I got out of one panel. Isn't that crazy?
Wow,
So
that's
many.
gorgeous.
So if you were going to be using your little shapes on cards or whatever, this is a great opportunity to use a lot of color and then get different shapes in each kind of section that you blend. So just wanted to show you that. Also, actually, this is out of 2 panels. I take that back. This is out of 2 panels. In the homework, I recommended that you die cut your shapes first, and then we're going to do our scoreboard embossing. But when I was kind of experimenting with this, I did it both ways, and I'm going to show you the difference. So this is the way that I wanted, like what it looks like when you do you can see all the glitter all over my hand. When you do the die cutting first, and then you're going to do your scoreboard, right? This is what it looks like when you do the scoring first, or no, sorry, you do scoring first and then the die cutting.
Okay.
So yeah, anyway, I think that's right. Yeah, anyway, so it doesn't matter which way you do it. I'm going to demo it where it's already die cut, but that's okay. All right, so if you already have a die cut, I told you to keep your outer area and the inner. So the first thing we're going to do is puzzle piece these back into our background, back into our panel. And we're just going to use a little bit of repositionable tape, or really low tack tape. We just want to keep these held in there while we're doing our scoring, and then we're going to move them when we get to those areas. So if you can kind of like keep one side without any tape first, that's probably a good idea, so that we can do all of those first. Okay. So I'm going to come up and put that right into the top of my scoreboard. In fact, if you want to, you can even tape your paper into your scoreboard so it won't move around. And you're going to need a bone folder or like a scoring tool. I'm using this one from Simon Says Stamp that has like a little wax end, and then it has the scoring tool on the other end. And it works really, really well. You could use a bone folder. I just like these that have a little more of a rounded tip because I think I get a better score. So someone's saying the Skur Buddy. Did I say Skur Buddy? I meant Score Buddy. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to score in one direction, and then we're going to rotate our cardstock and score the other direction. I'm going for kind of a plaid look. You could also, if you already have your, stuff done, and you can just do one little section. I think that's really pretty too. So I'm gonna do every ½ inch. So I'm just and I'm doing the whole thing because I want it to be able to see where it lines up down here, so I know where to score on the star. But once I get to that point, I can just stop because there's nothing else there. So I'm going to come back to the ½ inch, go right there, continue that down, and then continue that down onto the lower star. ½ inch once again from that top edge. Score that all the way down.
So is ½ inch the best increments for this, Christina?
It really depends on the size of your die cut, of your shape
Okay.
you're doing.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. So I'm going to grab my scissors just because my nails aren't going to allow me to grab this tape. But I'm going to move the tape to where I've already scored now. So it's just going to give me a better chance to not have the tape interfere with the scoring. So I'm just going to go ahead and pick that up and just move it over to the other side. There we go. And then I'll continue right on the 1/2 inch, or in this case, it's right at the 2-inch mark, all the way down. You come to the 2.5. Once you get going, this technique works up really fast. All right. Skip that tape right there. And then I am going to have to move this tape. So I'm just using my scissors to help me grab that.
Scooch you right over to the other side.
Exactly. Okay.
Christina,
Yes.
somebody asked, would taping from the back work?
I wouldn't recommend it because I think it might interfere with the scoring.
The pressure on it.
Yeah, you might not have enough pressure to get a really good impression. So,
Thank you.
I mean, you know what? I just went over this tape up here and it went through pretty well. So maybe it's not a big issue.
I'm guessing
You know what?
you're using really thin tape, right?
Yeah, it's like a really low-tech Scotch tape almost. Yeah.
Yeah. So if it's a thicker tape, it might hinder, but yours seems to not.
Mhm. Yeah, it
Yeah,
seems to
maybe
be
if
okay.
it was like a masking tape, it would hinder it.
Absolutely.
But what is that? CZ clear tape or something would probably be good.
Easy
Oh yeah,
C.
there it is right there. Easy
Kathy's
C.
like,
That's it.
that's my tape. Kathy's like, that's my tape.
That tape
So then
right
you're
there.
gonna. So everything was up and down here. So now I'm going to just rotate it. Oh, just kidding. Before we move on, I totally forgot. After you do your 1/2 inch, you're going to want to come in and just pick a couple spots and go right in between. So you're going to get that plaid look if you just have a couple spots that go
Oh, nice.
in between. So I'm going to have one right there, and maybe I'll have one right here as well. And you can just look at your shape and kind of see where it would work. Do one right there. Okay. Now I'm going to turn it, and we're going to do the same thing, starting at the 1/2 inch. This one's not going to hit the star until it gets down here. But you're just going to repeat the same thing going the other direction. And the reason why we put our shapes back into, the outer panel is so that when we rotate it, it's exactly 90 degrees. So you're going to have perfect plaid. I'm going to go right over the tape this time because we're testing it. Yes.
Christina, we've got 2 questions. They're kind of related. Pamela asked, can you score from the wrong side for a raised look? And then Brenda said, do we score from the front or the back of the die cut?
You know what? I'm scoring straight into the front of the die cut, but actually when I go to ink blend, I'm going to turn it over. But it'll just give you a different look. You could actually try ink blending on both sides and see which you prefer. Because you're really only going to see one side when it's finished, right? So you could test it out on both.
Excellent idea.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, that didn't even touch it at all. Okay. So now I've done every 1/2 inch. So I'm going to come back and just do some that are like right in the middle, just so we get a little bit more of that kind of like plaid look.
What a great way to use that tool. I mean, because a lot of times we only use it for scoring. We don't think to score our card bases. We don't think to actually make a design out of something.
Uh-huh.
Pretty.
All right. So I'm going to pop these out. And then we'll be ready to do our ink blending. So for the ink blending, you can use a bunch of different colors. If you want to get it super colorful. I'll do a few colors. Why not? And I'll just ink blend one, and then we'll have Dana join us, and you can all join us and do some ink blending as well. I'm going to do the big star just because why not, right? And I think I'll use shades of green. I'll make this one more green. So I'm going to start with this lighter shade. I'm using Perfection. And I'm going to blend on the side that I scored into, and then I'll flip it over and you can see what it looks like on the other side. I'm just getting that green. And then I'll switch to the other color. Ta-da. And you know what? I'm going to do a trick that Jennifer shared. I'm going to hold my die cut with the lid of my ink pad. I'm like, that's the best way to save my hands. I don't want to
No.
You're like,
Hang on. Please do note that you want to make sure there's no ink on the edge of your ink pad lid when you do that.
Oh, yeah,
See that
because I
little
just
line
got
there?
it right there.
You got to be careful to make sure that doesn't happen. You can
Oh.
always use a Post-it note, but you know what, Christina? Get inky. Come on, girlfriend. Get inky.
she's like, I already have
No.
glitter. I already have glitter on my
You know what I'm
fingers.
doing? Post-it tape. Post-it tape. And then you just put it right over your fingertips and then you can hold it. Okay, so I've turned it over and I'm going to ink blend. In fact, you know what? Before I do that, I'm going to just move to a different section so I'm not right on top of that. All right, so I'm going to come in. This is the side that I prefer because I think it shows the scoring a little bit better because you've got the lines kind of popped up and it catches the ink as you blend on top.
That is gorgeous.
So that's the side that I actually prefer. But you can do whatever side you'd like. So I did my pine color and I'm going to come in with Perfection just on the other side of the star. And you can really get ink going. Now, I happen to know this because Jennifer showed me, but she did this technique for her die cuts and she actually kind of just ran. You could either do a darker ink pad or even a white pigment ink and just barely brush the top and it's going to catch the raised score lines. And then you can get another kind of textured look on it. All right. So here we go. You ready to do this, Dana?
I am ready.
So there's the raised side. And then here's the indented side.
gorgeous.
Either one. I just like the raised side. I prefer it a little bit more.
All
You can
right.
do whatever you like. All
So
right.
I am actually going to start with a full piece of cardstock.
Perfect.
And I'm going to actually use my scoring tool because my little stylus has walked away. You know, the gremlins in my stamp room.
Your
So I'm
elves.
just going to go ahead and use a regular one here. And then let's go ahead and start.
All right. So I've got my surface all cleaned off for when I need to come in for my ink blending. Oh my word, Dana, your ring is gorgeous.
Huh? Oh, thank you.
Your ring is gorgeous.
It's only the camera.
It makes it all sparkly.
It makes it all sparkly.
All right. So I'm doing that like banner that I've told you guys about. So I'm going to use the S here. I've already cut it out. And because I know I like the raised side, I'm actually going to this is how I cut into it. I'm going to score from this other side.
Just so you already have the raised part already done, right?
Yeah, just so like the edges of the die cut are nice and kind of round. You know how you get that when you die cut something? All right, I'm going to tape that down into my scoreboard.
And
I'm going
then
to adjust my camera so it's not quite so bright now.
I'm
you can
gonna
see it
do
a little bit. There we
oops.
All right, so I'm going to start scoring. You know what? I kind of want to do it at a diagonal. How could
That
I
would be
do
pretty too.
I could probably use
Get every other
a little bit of cardstock. I'm going to do this on the fly. We'll see if it works. I'm just going to cut a triangle out of some cardstock.
Okay.
And then I'm going to put it up there in the corner. And it'll give me a good guide for getting it perfectly diagonal when I turn it.
Perfect.
All right, so I just cut a little corner out.
Oh, I really do like the raised side on the back. I do. Okay, so I'm going to switch mine this way. And we're going to do here.
All right. Some scoreboards actually have a little triangle piece that you can use, but mine doesn't. So,
all right. While you guys are doing your little score lines here, a few people want to know about Christina's nails.
Oh,
they're so pretty.
Christina's nails.
Okay, so I painted them in just a regular red polish. And then I did nail stamping. Did you know there's nail stamping out there? I'm like, seriously, even more stamping. So nail stamping is amazing. You can look it up on YouTube for how to do it. But basically, there's like a metal plate that has a design on it. And then you can use a special stamping polish and pick up the design and then transfer it to your nails. So that's what I did. So yeah, so it's a plaid stamping design that I just used with black stamping polish on top of the red.
And it's so gorgeous.
I love it. I love nail stamping. Okay, so I did all of my vertical lines. So I'm going to come back and just do a couple for the plaid.
I love the plaid look. I like skipping over just a few to get that look.
Yeah, I think it looks great. Okay, come down here. All right,
Okay,
so
super
now that
pretty.
I've used this corner once, I'm just going to take the tape off that, still put it up there, and then I'm just going to turn it. Now I'm going to put it in this direction. Oh,
Okay, so
and it's
since I already
too
have mine gorgeous on a solid piece, look how gorgeous that is. That would make a stunning little background.
Oh, wow. I love that.
Even without any ink on it.
Just cutting
So
off this
pretty.
end here so it fits. And then I can come in here. There we go. Tape that in place.
Gorgeous.
And now I can get the other direction perfectly. So
All right, I'm just going to clean off my blending brushes here so I can start switching up. Again, it's some beautiful pinks.
love it. Oh, I totally picked the wrong measurement. Okay, whatever. I'll have to eyeball it. Good thing the scoreboard has scoring lines every quarter inch.
All right,
Okay.
let's see. And then I'm going to come in with my pink. And I kind of switched up my pinks, but all my pinks should fairly match. I'm going to do Concord and 9 Pink Lemonade.
Oh, I love that color.
I know, it's so pretty. I'm going to do Dark Carnation because it's just a little bit darker. And then I'm going to do this Pretty Rose. I think this will be a nice complement to all my pinks. But I might add a little bit more pink. We'll see.
Perfect. All right, I'm going to come in and do my little plaids. I'm going to make sure they kind of cross over where the other ones were, since I'm using a letter, so I don't have, you can't see the pattern everywhere.
Oh, this is so pretty, Christine. I love the rays of this. That's so gorgeous.
Yeah, it's a good one. It's a good technique, and it's one that you don't think about all that often.
Exactly.
All right, I'm about ready to do my ink blending. Oh, that's going to be so good. Look at that.
That's going to be gorgeous. Gorgeous.
Love it.
I'm going to switch to this darker.
All righty. All right. I don't even remember what color I want to use for this. Let's do, you know what? I have enough space on this die cut here. I probably could do a few different colors.
I think this would be pretty, just kind of doing something like that for a very abstract look. That would be gorgeous.
Oh, yeah. I'm going to do Seafoam and Ocean from Simon Says Stamp.
And I think we're going to switch out my ink. Oh, that's really juicy. Oh, that's going to be pretty.
Post-it note or Post-it tape on my fingers. I almost forgot.
Don't forget.
All right. Oh, I'm getting like a darker. Ooh, look at that. My blue went right onto that ink pad. It's okay. I'm going to clean off my brush here.
Okay.
And then you know what? It'll just pick up that color. It's fine.
And I'm going to kind of just spread my color throughout. So when I die cut, I'm going to have different shades when I go to die cut my piece out. Let me get back just a little bit here.
This is like not even the color of ink at all. Because my blending brush, I had used a really dark blue last week. And I'm trying to use a really light blue now. It looks
Light
like not
blue.
working. Yeah. You know what? I do have a different blending brush that has a lighter color on it. I really should just use that one. Let's try that. Because I do want this lighter shade to come in somewhere. There
No,
we
this is
go.
so pretty. So pretty.
Now we're getting the lighter shade. And thankfully, like blending color like this is really forgiving because you can get the colors to kind of project just like that. It works great.
And this would be good because I'll have those tonal variations when I go to die cut my diamonds out.
Oh, yeah. And then you'll get lots of diamonds out of it. Perfect.
Yes, lots of diamonds. So pretty.
Cheryl's asking how you fix a stamp pad when it's like this. Generally, you can just take a piece of scratch paper and just like smush it on there. And it'll start to take off all the ink that's on the surface there. So it might be stained, but when you go to stamp with it, it should be okay.
I'm going to show you.
Somebody asked, Sabine asked, never tried to wash out blending brush underwater. Does it harm the brush?
No.
And for
You
the
just have to
record,
let it
I've
dry.
never in my life ever washed a brush.
Yeah, you can wash your brushes. Just let them dry really, really well. And if you can, if they're like this, turn them over on top of like a towel or a paper towel. And that will help draw all the water out of the brush so it doesn't like seep all the way in and then it takes longer to dry. That's what I would suggest anyway. But I also have like a set of brushes for my oxides, and then I have a set of brushes for my dyes. So I have never washed these, but now that I see what happened with my blue one, this is a mental note. I should wash my blue brush.
And I went ahead and die cut out my shapes. So look how pretty those are when I have that variation of die cutting after the fact.
Ooh, that's pretty.
Love those. Oh, they're so pretty.
I love it. All right. Look how cute.
Perfect. Oh my God, Christina,
love
that's
it.
gorgeous.
Yeah. And then I think I want to take what Jennifer did. Oh, do I dare? I don't know if I dare. But she like just brushed her darker ink pad over the top.
No,
Is that
no,
what
no,
you
no.
did, Jennifer?
Jennifer didn't do that. Jennifer used a brayer
Oh,
to very
okay.
lightly apply the ink over the raised area.
Let me
Very
grab a brayer.
light-handed.
Let me grab a brayer.
I know. I want to add some shimmer to this because I like the raised parts because I can still feel them even though I die cut after the fact. I can still feel the raised portions of this.
Okay, very lightly.
Very light. There, look at that.
Wow,
I got a little of it
pretty.
in between. I got a little in between, but that's okay, right?
It's okay. It's look at that.
Wait, I
Boom.
gotta grab mine too.
And you
Ooh, I
could do
love
that with white pigment ink. Like if you just had a solid piece of cardstock and you did those lines, you didn't do ink blending at first, just solid piece of cardstock, do those lines. You can brayer over white pigment ink and it would make the raised lines lighter.
Oh, I'm getting beautiful texture out of this.
That.
Look at that.
Oh, I like it. You know what? I'm not liking the spot that went in the center, so I'm thinking I might come in with some darker color, maybe when we're not on camera anymore, and just kind of blend that out. And I think it'll probably fix it.
Oh,
or I can just
good
do it now.
ideal to brayer over it, Christina.
Oh, well, that was Jennifer. That was Jennifer, but I love how that looks. It gives such a fun texture.
Yes. Oh, and it really makes your plaid stand out.
Yeah, for sure.
Gorgeous. Gorgeous, gorgeous.
So, Dana, what is your next technique while we're cleaning up?
Now, the next technique, brace yourself. You're going to have to let it all go. You might get a little inky, but I tell you,
I have gloves. I
So,
got gloves.
This is what I would say. When I work with alcohol inks, especially after I have a really good manicure, I make sure to wear gloves. And it's just so I don't have inky hands when I have pretty nails. Other than that, I can really care less. And I do know, like, if I use Dawn this detergent, that seems to really get my hands cleaner. And there's also like a little, it's like a pumice stone that you can get. I think
the
Ranger
craft
might
scrub.
make it.
Yeah,
And
it's a
you can-
craft scrubby.
Yes. And then you can clean the ink off your hands as well. So, but just in this process here, we're just going to let everything go and flow. All right, let's go ahead and get started. So
Now I was
we're
going to say that craft scrubby also takes glitter off your hands when it's like dry.
Oh
on your
yes,
hands.
that too. Yep. So I am going to grab my little blue gloves here. You're going to need a blower, and then we're going to need some pretty ink colors. Now I'm using Yupo paper here. I'm using the lightweight because that's just easier to die cut through. But if you're going to keep your panel whole, you can totally do the thicker one if you like to. And the foil I'm using is Deco foil. So I think I put that in the homework. You want to use Deco foil and not the foil that you would use through your glimmer machine. I have just found better success using the Deco foil. All right, so to keep my hands nice and clean, and these are just some gloves I think I got from like Home Depot, but I think you can order them off of Amazon.
Oh yeah, just look for like latex gloves. Like I
Yeah,
have a
just
bunch of
regular latex gloves.
I have them in the kitchen when I have to deal with meat.
Yeah,
Like
that's what we have. We have them in the garage. We have them in the kitchen. Now I have another that's in my stamp room. I am going to actually turn off my fan because I have a feeling this might dry this a little bit too quick. So my inks I'm using today are, again, just two pretty shades of pink. And you are also going to want some blending solution. The blending solution is going to help everything start moving and really get your ink to flow. Yes, Jennifer, totally. Gloves, and make sure you have some good ventilation as well. All right, so I like to shake my inks up first just to make sure. And then I like to go ahead and uncap them, so I'm not trying to uncap them when I'm doing this. And I also like to uncap this. And we're going to go ahead and get started. I just like to start off with the blending solution. I start adding in some drops of my ink. And then this is where you really just need to let the process work. I just start tilting, and that's going to get that ink to start moving. The biggest thing about this, you just have to learn to just let the control part go. And I promise you, you'll end up with really, really pretty blends. If you use a little bit more of your blending solution, your colors are going to be a little bit lighter. The best thing to do is tilt. And if you want kind of a stronger look, or you want to have a little bit more control, I'll show you that as well. So I'm just going to add a little bit more blending solution in. And we're going to tilt this. If you want just a tad bit more control, you can get your blower and kind of blow your ink where you want it. This also is going to help dry it. But anytime you're using these inks, nothing is ever going to look the same when you do it again. So just keep that in mind. It's all about experimenting and really just having a good time with it. You also want to use colors that will blend together. So if you did pinks and purples, reds, orange, blues, greens, those aren't going to give you muddy colors. That's what you really want to stay away from. You want to make sure that you have colors that blend very, very well together. Another tip for this is you are wanting to use enough of your ink that you're going to get some sticky parts. So like right in here, I might get a sticky part. Right here, I might get a sticky part. If it looks like this and you feel like, oh, I don't have areas that look like they're going to stick, put another layer on. So I'm going to come back across, be a little bit more heavy-handed this time. Put some of that down. I'll add my blending solution after the fact, because you can do it both ways. And then again, you're just going to tilt. You want all of that color to kind of bleed into one another, and you want to get some of those harsh marks. So I'm just going to tip this, let this bleed down just a little bit that way. But again, nothing is ever going to look the same. Once I have it where I want it, I'm going to grab this. And that's when I'm going to see that hard line right there. I don't know if you guys can see that. It's a hard line. That's what we want. We want those hard lines. And that's because we're drying it in place. So when you dry it, if I push harder on this, you see that? I start getting those lines. That's what we want because that's what is going to help our ink or our foil rather to stick. So again, I'm going in, I'm able to dry that back. Now, if you're using the heavier or the heavier paper, I would suggest you can use a heat gun. But if you do use a heat gun on a lighter, I just suggest that you be really, really careful because you don't want to scorch your paper or to get it to start burning. But I just want to make sure I get this dried back enough where I see like little sticky marks.
So Dana, I'm going to be using an alcohol pearl, alcohol ink. So if any of you have a pearl alcohol ink out there, take a moment and start shaking it up because you're going to hear the little bead inside. You need it to start moving around. Just wanted to mention that. I'm going to go on mute so I can keep like doing my little mix here so that, you know, it's not bugging all of you with hearing it.
Now, again, if you're using a heat tool, keep it on low. You just want to keep it on low. And you want to keep that heat gun moving. And you'll see because the shine will start fading back. And that means it's starting to dry. All right. I think we might be good there. I think I have, and you can touch it too. And you would tell like it's sticky because of those areas where it overlapped. All right. So now this is the fun part because, again, this is very random. You don't really know what you're going to get. But this is the beauty of it all. Just going to move my inks out of the way. And I'm just going to test this. And you see, I have my gold on there. And that's because those areas are still pretty sticky because we built up that ink. And then as you go through, you can get this really cool, like marble effect to it. And again,
now,
it's just super. Go ahead.
I was going to say the sticky areas, if you don't put foil on them, will they eventually dry and they won't be sticky anymore?
Yeah, but they're going to take some time. So if you have like a lot of puddling, I would suggest like setting it aside just to give it time to dry. But usually I like to do it this way because I get the stickiness to it. Mm-hmm. Otherwise, I would not be so heavy-handed. I might have it a little bit softer looking, just so you don't end up having to worry about that stickiness when you don't want it.
Yeah.
Another thing is, because I've run into this. If I use too much ink, alcohol ink, and I get these spots that just don't want to dry, they remain tacky. You can do what Dana's doing, or you can take an anti-static powder tool and put that over those areas to kind of cover up that stick a bit.
Yes.
That can also happen. Or you can spray with a fixative, but usually, you know, it's not bad. It's not much. And this is definitely the prettiest way to do it.
Hey, could you just use like a heat embossing powder if it's sticky? Why not?
You know what? You probably could, Christina. You probably could. But look how gorgeous that is.
You definitely could use embossing powder on there. Somebody did ask what kind of foil this is.
This is Deco foil. So this is not the one that you will put through your glimmer machine. So like the Deco foil that we used earlier for Jennifer's strips, that's this foil here. So this is not the foil that you're going to put through your glimmer machine.
I only have glimmer foil, so I'm going to try. Dana says she hasn't had good results. I might not get any gold on mine, but I'm going to try.
Yes, we'll just give it a try. That's all about experimenting. So there is our first panel. Now, you'll see when we start working on our second panel, it's not going to look anything like this. It's going to look totally different. And I'm going to actually do it maybe a lighter color or a lighter application. So are we ready, Christina?
Yeah, let's do this thing.
Let's do it. Okay, again, I'm going to come right back in.
So here are my two colors. I've got alcohol pearl in Envy and then alcohol ink in Stream. Here we go. Time to glove up.
Yeah, glove up, Christina.
Some people in the chat are like, Team no gloves. I'm like, you guys are
No.
braver than me.
Not on that
No
beautiful
way.
manicure you got there. You can't do
You know
that.
what? Look at my sweater. I'm gonna pull these sleeves up.
Yeah, I have mine pulled up too. So you see, this one's a little bit softer because, again, I only used the one color in this. And I think I'm going to start just with that one color first. Dry this one back.
Oh, and I'm on like glossy photo paper. This is glossy alcohol ink cardstock from Ranger. It's basically photo paper. So we're going to see the effects of that one too.
So this one's going to be a lot softer. Again, with alcohol, you just got to let it go. Got to let it go. Give up the control. It's okay because you're still going to have something pretty. Now, I do know if you use, I think it's called Duralar paper. If you do this technique and you're not happy with it, if you use the Duralar paper, you can actually put blending solution over it and it will wipe right off. You can do it with the Yupo paper, but you might get a little bit of a residue of color. But if you have the Duralar paper, you can totally do it and not, you can wipe it clean and it goes right back to the white color.
Ooh,
A question for you, Dana. Heather asked, am I doing something wrong if my foil won't stick or if it sticks so much it pulls my paper off?
If it
I'm not sure how you can pull Yupo paper apart.
Are you using Yupo paper? Well, you must be because otherwise it will be soaking through the paper. And if it's not sticking, that means you need to add a little bit more ink. So like you'll see here, if you can see here, I can touch this and it's not sticky. That means I have not used enough of the alcohol to get it where I can touch it and it's sticky. That's what you want. You want that stickiness.
Yes, she said it sounds like she's using Ranger glossy cardstock is my guess. Alcohol ink glossy cardstock, not Yupo. In that case, I would try again because it should work just
it should
fine.
Work. Okay, so this I have, and again, if it's not sticky, like this is not sticky, that means I just didn't use enough. So now that's when I'm going to come back in with that second layer. And I'm just going to keep this to the one shade of pink this time. And I'm going to go ahead and get that swirling. And if you have white areas too, it's absolutely fine. Absolutely fine. That just is more of the creative process. And
so
then
you see those areas where Christina has like a lot building up and kind of those lines.
That line. That's what you're looking for.
That's where it'll stay tacky. Yep.
That's what I'm going for.
And again, it's very, very random. All right, I think I'm to a point where I can probably, again, on low, I'm going to go ahead and heat set this.
I'm just about ready to heat set as well. I'm loving this. It's looking great. I'm trying to think that I'm going to be using a big letter die to cut out the center area. So I'm trying to get those heavy areas through the center. And I think I've achieved some that are going to pick up the foil. I mean, I hope. I don't know. We'll see. I'm going to heat set this now.
Okay, and I'm just going to dry the rest of this right back. Now, another cool thing you can do after you have it like this, if you kind of want like, I don't know if you guys can see it. Do you see those little like watermarks? You can take a little bit of alcohol. I have alcohol in a little bit of a spray bottle here. And I just, right from above, I just lightly spritz down and I'll get, can you see that? I'll get those cool little watermarks. That's a very, very fine mist from way up above, just so you can get that little bit of variation if you want it. And when I say high up, I'm like really high up. And it just gives you that little bit of a splatter mark.
So real quick, I had a little bio break, so I might have missed this if you mentioned it. If you're having a hard time getting your foil to stick, we're putting the wrong side of the foil down. You want to make sure the back side of the foil is
you want
facing down.
the pretty side facing down. Oh,
Pretty side facing
wait,
down?
wait. No, I'm
Oh.
sorry. I'm sorry. Other way.
Pretty side up, yep.
Pretty side up, yes. All right, so I have my tacky areas. Oh, that should be a good one.
And Christina, can you review again what colors you used?
I have Stream. Oh crap! I'm picking it up without a gloved hand. Stream, Stream, and then Alcohol Pearl and Envy. And I did have a couple spots that picked up the gold, but it's very few. Like, I don't. I maybe it's the foil I'm using, or maybe it's I just didn't have enough ink. But
And
I mean,
I'm
it's
just
very subtle.
lightly like tapping and like ripping back, tapping and ripping back.
Oh yeah, I'm like really rubbing it on there. In fact, I think I'm going to use this bone folder and like really burnish it on. Oh well, then you get big, huge swaths of gold. But whatever.
I think, Christina, you probably needed to build up a bit more, but that's part of the experimenting with it. And
for
another thing you can do is you could always go with a little bit of liquid glue like Gina K Connect.
Yes.
And say you want a little line at the bottom, put that down, let it dry a bit, and then do this process.
Mm-hmm.
And Dana, what colors are you using again?
I'm using Flamingo is this singular color. And then the other one was Festa, I think. Yes. And that's the like more magenta pink, the darker pink. So as you can see, this one here, I did lighter. And I will suggest just set this aside to dry completely. But then you can see how strong my first color was and where I just had those little bit of areas compared to this one here where I have more movement in it.
All right, I'm going to add some more teal to this area, and I'm not going to dry it quite as much. And then maybe I'll get a little more of the gold coming through. Lots of ink. We're almost ready to move on to my technique, but I'm going to try to get this, like I said, just like right through the center is where I'm going to be doing my die cutting. So add a little more of that blending solution.
Yep, just get to move around just a little bit more. I love those colors together. Absolutely love those colors together.
Yeah, I'm really loving it too.
And a reminder, the nice thing about alcohol inks is if you have an area you don't like, you can put more on it. And if you are just disliking the whole thing, you can put a bunch of rubbing alcohol or blending solution on it and wipe it clean and start over.
And wipe it off. Yeah.
So the more layering you do, the more tacky areas you'll get, and you can get more foil down.
But again, you have to just be willing to let the process work. And a lot of the times it's just practicing the technique, knowing what colors you like together. And you can also, if you don't have these kind of alcohol inks, you can also use Copic refills. Copic refills work just as well. Yeah, Adirondack colors are gorgeous. They're absolutely gorgeous. So yes, this is where you just experiment and let your heart be kind. Give yourself some grace doing this. Oh, Christina, I love those colors together.
Okay, so I've got some spots that I think might start to get a little sticky.
Yep, I can see them. Yep.
Like right around the edge of this big splotch.
Yep.
But I'm just trying, I don't know how long to wait.
So
You know,
I would, if you go ahead and take your glove and kind of just like tap it. And if it feels sticky, you can go ahead and start putting down your foil.
Okay, I've just got like one area that's still like super, I don't know if you can see that. Where can I tip this? Yeah, right there. down in this
Yeah,
area
so
right
go ahead
here.
and touch it, and it should be tacky.
Oh,
Is it
my
tacky?
glove took away. Well, not really. My glove took away some of the ink.
Okay, just heat set it back just a little bit because you do need to have that wet look on it in order for it to stick.
Okay, so I'm just getting.
Yeah, because you still want to see that little bit of dampness.
Okay. Oh, yeah.
There
that
you
picked up a
go.
little better. Yeah,
There you
for
go.
sure.
Yep. You just needed to
Oh,
have a
that's so
little bit.
pretty.
Yes.
Look at that.
Isn't it gorgeous?
Oh my gosh. I've
And
always wondered how people get this look, and now I know.
And now you
Christina,
know.
did you say that's glimmer
Yeah, this is glimmer.
oil?
Okay, perfect.
Yeah, so you can use either types.
I think Dana's correct. You really have to make sure you've got lots of sticky areas because the glimmer probably needs heat to make it stick, I would assume. But I'm still getting some good
gorgeous.
transfer.
Yeah, absolutely gorgeous. And you said that's photo paper, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. Oh,
Glossy
so
card.
pretty.
I love it so much. I love it. And I really want to get this part up here to die cut too because I love that teal. So pretty. Okay, you guys
Gorgeous.
ready for the last technique of the day? Are you guys ready?
Okay, I'm just going to clean off. my
Yeah, you clean
napkin
up while
so
I
I
get
can
into
go
my
ahead and
technique.
get rid of my gloves.
For our last technique, you're going to need your MISTI. So if you don't have that out, go ahead and get it out right now. We've had a break from stamping for a bit, and now we're going to get right back into it. So for this technique, we're doing multicolor or multi-ink stamping. So you need kind of a more solid stamped image because you want enough image there that's really going to show the change in color as it is stamped. So here are some examples. These are the examples that are in the instructions. They were all cut out of the same panel. Ta-da. Oh, and look, I have ink on my hands. Jennifer will be happy. Those are all my die cuts. Let's try this. I suggest using maybe just 3 colors of ink, 2 to 3. Ones that are right next to each other on the rainbow around the color wheel tend to work best. So like this kind of blue to green works great. You could do like a red to pink or pink to purple, anything like that. See, I tried to do it using too many colors of ink and it didn't look quite as nice. So I would recommend using just 2 to 3 colors. So, and your solid stamps, like this one that has the really solid areas tend to work better as well. So let me grab my stamps. I've got this one, which is
so
sadly
gorgeous.
discontinued. I'm so sad it's discontinued. But I'm also going to demonstrate with this one today, which is All Snowflakes by Simon Says Stamp. So let's start with the throwing shapes. And I think Dana's got one that's kind of a similar vibe. So you'll see that in a minute. And you're just going to need to, similarly how we've been stamping other background stamps, you're just going to put that in the bottom corner of your MISTI and then get your stamp. Like I think I want like these dots and stuff, so I'm going to turn my stamp upside down and get it just down in that corner. In fact, you know what? This would be a great time to use one of those sticky mats since we're not embossing on it. All right, and I've got all this stuff stuck to my sticky mat. You guys, if you've been crafting along with us today, you probably have a craft room that looks like mine right now, which looks like a hurricane.
Oh my God, a hurricane has gone through my room.
Yes. Okay, so I'm just going to put that right on top. I've lost my magnet. I have no idea. Oh, there it is. Just put that right there to keep it in place. Okay, so you're going to pick out your ink colors. I'm going to do those same colors I did before, which is Seafoam to Ocean, and then Perfection to Pine. So I've basically got a light blue, a dark blue, a light green, and a dark green. You really could use whatever you'd like, but this is what I'm going to go for. So I'm going to start with the lightest color. And oh, by the way, also have on hand your blending brushes that are the same colors, right? I'm not going to use this blue one because we discovered that one's all contaminated with dark blue. So I'm going to use this one that has more of a greenish on it. Okay. So I've got my seafoam color, and I'm only going to ink up like maybe like the bottom quarter, maybe a third of my stamp. So I'm just going to ink this up. It's probably going to be a little hard to see because this is a lighter color, but I'm going to just ink that up really well. And then before I stamp it, I'm just going to come in with my blending brush and just soften that top edge of the ink. Make sure my mat's down in the corner, and then stamp down. And here's when you want pressing tool or use that elbow grease, really get in there. You might even have to stamp it a couple of times depending on how light your ink is. Mine's okay. So I'm just going to move on to the next color. So the next color I'm using is Ocean, and I'm going to tip my ink pad like on its side so that I'm only going to be applying it to kind of like the center section down. So I'm just applying that ink just to this band right across the center. And then I'm going to take that blending brush once again, and this time I'm going to soften the top edge of the ink and the bottom edge of the ink. We want it to blend into that pale blue that we've already stamped. So stamp this down, give it some elbow grease, really get in there. Okay. And now we're getting that transition from the lighter blue to the darker blue. I want this to be a little bit stronger in color. So I'm actually going to repeat that. Just depends on how inky, like juicy your ink pad is. If you've got an ink pad that's not super juicy like mine, probably need to be re-inked at this point. You might need to stamp a couple of times, but you can totally do that because we're using a MISTI and it's super easy to do that. All right, stamp this down again. Really get that in there. All right, see, so now it's a little darker. So at this point, I'm going to transition to this green, but I'm anticipating that this green ink's probably going to like kind of contaminate my other ink pad. So I'm going to take a minute and clean off my stamp. And I ran out of baby wipes and my stamp chamois is not wet. So I'm going to hurry and go get my stamp chamois wet. But Dana, what colors are you using today?
I am, I'm a pink girl today. So I'm in love with all the pinks. So I think for this one, well, I don't have to think because I have my little bag over here to tell me. So I'm going to actually go a little bit red with this. I'm going to do a little bit of a cherry, and I'm also going to do taffy, which are going to be my deeper, or I should say my darker colors. And then I'm going to come back in with that carnation. I think that will give me a really nice gradient on my stamp today. So we really want to make sure that we do this with more bolder prints, correct? You don't want anything like
a more bold stamp is going to show the color transition a little bit better. I mean, you can use a more dainty one, but it just might not show the transition as much.
As well. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah. Okay, here we go. Stamp chamois. And then I'll probably have to use a paper towel on it or something because I did not wring out my chamois enough, it looks like.
So home goals, I need a sink in my craft room. You might want to talk to Greg about that.
It is so lovely. When we moved, it was just me. Well, me and my mom moved after I got married. The space where my craft room is, it shares a wall with a bathroom. I'm like, perfect. Because the plumbing's there, so we can put in a sink.
Absolutely.
So I'm moving to perfection, and I can kind of see right across here, like where that color needs to be applied. So I'm going to tip my ink pad once again. Oh, this ink pad is dry too. What in the world? Okay. There we go. Get some of that color coming down into where that blue is, because then I'm going to take my green blending brush, soften that edge down here at the bottom. I'm also going to soften it at the top. And then
this is such a gorgeous stamp. Oh,
thank you. It's one that I designed.
Look at that. Even better.
I'm so sad it's discontinued. Okay, look at that.
Oh, that's gorgeous.
stop it. And like this circle right here has a something fuzz on it, but oh well. Okay, I'm gonna stamp that again because I think I do want it a little bit stronger. So I'm gonna stamp it one more time and then do that blending brush once again. Get that across there. And then stamp down, give it some good elbow grease.
That good old elbow grease. And it's free. Look at that.
Ah, love it. All right,
Gorgeous.
I'm gonna go straight in with pine, right along that top edge. And we're just, green to green, so I didn't need to clean off my stamp. And then I'll use my green blending brush and kind of soften that bottom area. And then stamp again. We're giving our Misties a good workout. This might be how Jennifer broke her Misty yesterday. How did you break your Misty, Jennifer?
I dropped it in a very violent sort of way. It was one of those where you drop it and it bounced and then you tripped and then the chair fell. It was just, it ended in a really poor way.
It had a hard day yesterday. It had a hard day.
It did. It did. But I have backups. I just forgot to change it out.
Okay. All right. Ta-da.
Oh, stunning.
All right. So that finishes the stamping part. And then we're just going to ink on top with the same ink colors just to get the background going. You can kind of see how I did that over here. Since we're short on time, we're just going to go ahead and go into where all of you are invited to craft with us. And Dana's going to join me. And then we will do the ink blending together.
Okay. So let me just grab my Misty. Oh my God, if you guys could see this desk right now.
I know. We should all share pictures in the Facebook group.
Yeah, you would send rescue in here to save me.
Oh my gosh. The craft
All right.
math, that's what they call it.
Oh, the crafter math. All right. So
Uh-huh.
go ahead and put that down.
My stamp is almost clean. It'll have to be cleaned after.
And I'm using the ornament grid bold print from Hero. It's so pretty.
Ooh, that'll be perfect. There's lots of
Those are
like
pretty.
bold stamped areas. Yeah,
All right,
that'll
so
be
let's
perfect.
See, I'm gonna go this way with this.
Can you tell us the name of those two stamps again?
This one
Please.
is all snowflakes. All
From
snowflakes.
Simon.
Yep, these are all snowflakes I've designed over the years. So those are mine too.
And
snowflakes.
Dana, what's yours called?
This is ornament grid. This is the bold print from Hero Art.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, I'm getting another
Alrighty.
sticky mat. Get that right there. The good thing about using like a sticky mat in your Misty is that when you do your background stamp, you're going to get it all the way edge to edge.
Yes. I need to line back up. I think I was a little bit crooked. We're gonna see.
Okay. Oh, I need my magnet. There we go. All right. Same colors. So I'm going to start with Seafoam. Just put that right across the bottom. Really smush that in there.
I'm gonna
This might
actually.
be right.
I'm gonna start with a lighter pink. I think. Where did I put it? Well, we use this one.
All right, I'm going to go in and blend that top edge. Looks like it's getting a little bit of that darker teal on there, but that's okay. You know what? Just using your elbow just seems like really easy. It's a whole lot easier. Oh, I love that. You're going to see how pale that is. That's so pretty. But like I did before, I'm going to stamp it twice just so I can really get a lot of that lighter ink. Now, my ink pad's really dry. If your ink pad's
Ooh,
nice
that's
and
so
juicy,
pretty.
you won't have this issue.
I think I'm gonna stamp that just one more time, just so I can have some bold pinks on this.
Hey, Dana, can you zoom out a little bit? See what you're doing.
Sure.
Christina, what is the hashtag again?
It is hashtag OCC Holiday 2023.
Thank you.
No problem. Okay, I'm going to Ocean. So I'm just going to have this one across. I think all of my Simon ink pads need a day at the spa. They all need to be re-inked.
I'll tell you, Christina, one thing that I've noticed is any ink pads that have a foam pad need to be re-inked more often than those that have more of a firm felt pad.
Oh yeah, I've noticed that too.
Yeah, so those Simon ones are foam. I think they just hold a little less ink, but they're great for many other reasons. But it's just worth noting. Whereas like the Gina K ink pads are a more firm felt pad and they don't need re-inking as often. But both are great for different reasons.
That's like the I didn't blend the top of my ink there. Oh well, we'll see how it goes. Yeah, the Concord and Ninth pads are foam also, but I will say the original Simon inks, they do not have foam pads, and I've never re-inked them, and I've had them like some of them 10 years.
Yeah, the only firm ink pad that I think needs re-inking often is Distress Ink, and that's because that's how it was designed to be. It's a different type of dye.
For sure. Okay. Bring that over. Trying to get that blue on there really well. Dana, you're on mute. I don't know if you knew that.
I was coughing my head off for a second.
Oh no.
I was like, I don't think they need to hear all that.
Okay. Clean off that blue.
Get that done.
All right. And then I'm going to come in with Perfection.
Oh, pretty.
I'm just using the whole ink pad. It gets a nice band of color. Why not? And then in with the green, I'm going to like really soften that on the bottom.
I'm going to go up to this color. I think my red's going to be at the very tippy top of this, but we will see.
Ooh, I kind of like that line that happened right there. It looks kind of cool. I do need to add lots more of this Perfection ink to really get that moving. I love it with this background that's black than not. I used the wrong blending tool. That's one way to make it different.
Gorgeous. Okay, I'm in love with this technique. Yep, score.
It's a good one. I love to do it with greetings, like really big, bold fonts. You know, it's really fun. And I also like to do it when I don't blend off the ink at all. Like the ink just overlap and you can see the edge of the ink pad.
Right.
I think it looks really cool. All right, I'm going to go with my last color.
I'm almost there. Oh, so pretty. Now we're going to finish it off with that red. But I think I want to just clean that back just a little bit.
All right, last one.
Hey, ladies, while you're finishing that, Maureen was asking, what type of ink pads do we prefer? Foam or felt? I said I like both.
I do too.
Depends. She said that wasn't helpful. So I wondered if there was somebody who had a specific preference.
To me, it's because they kind of do different things for us. So that's why I like to have both of them.
I would say if you're only going to have one, like maybe you kind of only want to dedicate the money to just one and get a bunch of colors, I would say go for the foam pads just because you're not going to need a re-inker right away. So budget-wise, it's a little more budget friendly. But I do like both.
Oh, gorgeous.
I love that, Dana.
In love.
Okay. All right. I love how that last one turned out. Look at that. I got a little more banding just because I forgot to blend the top edge of my ocean one, but I still think it looks great. Looks amazing. Okay, I'm going to quickly clean this off just a little bit, and then we're going to ink blend, and then we'll be
I can take this
done.
out, right, Christina?
Yep, you can take it
Okay.
off your sticky mat or whatever.
Okay.
The last thing we're doing is we're just going to do a really light blend
Okay.
over all the areas. Now, when you're removing your paper from your sticky mat, I always bend back the mat and then pull the paper, and that helps me from warping my paper. See, the paper is really straight. Okay. So now we're just going to do some blending.
Okay.
And you're just going to blend over the same colors over each area.
Alrighty.
So just really lightly, just to give the white areas a little bit of color. So I'm going to take my seafoam with that same brush that I was using before.
Oh, that's so pretty.
And it's just going to soften the contrast a little bit. And it really aids in making the colors kind of blend together, I think. So over to ocean.
Oh yeah, it totally helps with the seamless blending part of all this. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's a little bit of a secret cheating method. All right. And then perfection.
Now I'm gonna go with the last color.
And then my last color was pine. Jennifer will be happy. I'm starting to ink on my fingers. The last
I'm
technique
very
of the
proud
day.
of you, Christina.
Thank you. Last technique of the day. You can't get through all 12 techniques without getting something on you, right?
It's just a little
But
something. Oh,
the
so
sleeves of my
pretty.
sweater are fine.
So pretty.
Okay. Ta-da. And only 7 minutes over. We did so good.
All right. Fantastic.
We did so good. Okay. All right. So
Yes.
that was a little bit of a marathon.
Yeah. But
I
well
agree,
worth it.
Jennifer.
Well worth
Yeah.
it.
It's a lot. We're going to send out a survey after everything's done and said. And we want your true opinion on what you think. Was it too fast? Was the pacing pretty good? Would you prefer to maybe only do 4 techniques in 2 hours instead of 6, whatever? We'll get your opinions on that in the survey. So save them.
Yes.
You don't have to comment now, like think about it. But we're going to take a little break until the top of the hour. So for me in Mountain Time, that would be 2 o'clock. If you're Eastern, that'd be 4 o'clock. And we're going to come back and show you what we have, like all 4 of us, have created with all of our panels for each technique. So you got a little sneak peek of Jennifer's. And we're excited to show you what we've made. So thanks for joining us.
Thank
Have a
you.
little break.
Hang
Go
on,
to
Christina.
Yeah.
Remember, there's going to be giveaways too.
Yes. I don't think we even said that. We have some giveaways. People are going to want to be here live because one of the prizes is for someone who's here watching in the chat now. But we also have some that are for just the whole class roster. So even if you're not watching live, you're watching the replay. You might get a surprise email saying you won something and you're like, dang it, I really should have watched. So anyone who is registered can win a couple of the prizes. So come back, join us in a little under an hour, about 50 minutes.
All right. Bye, everybody.
Bye.